Hey guys, it's
Cam
and Katie. Welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Katie and I'm American.
and I'm Cameron and I'm from Ireland.
And there's been a very popular request for Cameron to teach us about Irish sports because yes, they're different than other sports around the world.
So yeah, in Ireland we have two main unique Irish sports. And we actually received a suggestion from someone recently enough to do a video on hurling, but that is just one of the two. Okay, so before I even get into it, there's a few general things to know about Irish sports. First and foremost, Irish sports are contact sports. So they're very tough, like you get beat up pretty bad playing these sports. I remember being really nervous when a game was about to start and stuff. We play it in Ireland. You have a school team, so you play as part of a school, and then you can also do it in after school hours, so you can join like a club. Most people don't join clubs. Usually if you join a club, you want to take it more seriously and you really enjoy it. But in Ireland, most people play these sports as part of their schooling. So if they want to join a school team or even on like sports days. So they're very, very common in Ireland, and pretty much everyone in Ireland has either played them or has watched them. Very common. So first and foremost is hurling.
Hurling, and I'm learning about these.
Yeah, so this is Irish boy teaches American wife about Irish sports.
Yeah.
So hurling, if I was to describe hurling, and I've had to do this a few times, especially when I lived in America. If I was to describe hurling, I would say it's like a mix between lacrosse and baseball. I feel like that's the easiest way to describe it. So basically, it's kind of like lacrosse, where it's like teams playing against each other. Everyone has their own stick or hurl, and the ball, and you're fighting over the ball to get it into a goal, right? So that's the general gist of it.
Okay.
So the stick is called a hurl. The ball is called a schlitter.
That sounds like some Harry Potter.
What?
So yeah, the ball is called a schlitter. I've heard people pronounce it awfully. It's spelled Sliotar. People pronounce it Sliotar. It's called a schlitter. So it's a pretty Irish word. A schlitter is a very hard ball. It's like a baseball. It's like leather on the outside. I don't know what's on the inside, but it's very hard to the touch. And man, if you get a smack of a schlitter, you know all about it. See, the gist of the game is that you use your hurl to get the schlitter into the goal. So you have the goal, kind of like in soccer, you have like
or
a normal...
football for Europeans.
Or football, yeah. I'm explaining to the American here. No, I'm just kidding. So kind of like in football or soccer, you have the normal goal like this. But then in these sports, the posts either side continue upwards. So kind of like in rugby, I don't know if you've ever seen a rugby goal. It's like two straight posts and then there's a crossbar in the middle. The upper section is for points.
So it's like a soccer net and a football
goal. Yeah, had a baby. Yeah, pretty much. So the goal, if you hit the ball, and this is the same for both sports, if you hit the ball into the goal where the netting is, where the goalkeeper is, it's 3 points.
Okay.
But if you hit it over the crossbar, 1 point.
That's cool.
So the object is to score as many points as possible. So one goal is 3 points and 1 point is 1 point. So as far as the rules are concerned, they're quite complicated sports. They're not very easy to play. In hurling, you have your hurl, which is your stick, and the schlitter. And if you have the schlitter, you're only allowed to take 3 steps with it before you have to solo it. And what a solo is when you basically throw it up in front of you and then use your hurl to like hit it back to yourself. It's very complicated.
Thanks.
So you throw up the schlitter, every 3 steps you have to throw it up and you hit it back. Like you basically, I say hit it back, you just tap it, right? And you guys are going to see this, right? We're about to play a video in a second. You'll see what I mean by this. And you basically just hit it, tap it back to yourself. And you have to do that every 3 steps, but you're only allowed to do it twice before you have to pass it.
Oh, okay.
Or hit it. But a solo can last longer than just tapping it back to yourself.
Okay.
So basically, if you want to keep the ball for as long as possible, you can put it on the end of your hurl. So you throw it onto the end of the hurl and you balance it while you run. And so you'll see this, like the professional guys are so good at this. It's hard to master, it takes years. I never really got good at this. I would just kind of do the easier solo. But this longer one, I don't know if there's a name for it, but basically they throw the schlitter up, catch it on the end of their hurl, and then run with it. On the, like, almost like egg and spoon type of race thing, you know. So anyway, but once you hit it back to yourself or grab it again, you're only allowed to do that once more time, and then you have to pass it or you have to hit it.
Okay.
Okay, so as far as moving the schlitter, if you want to pass it or try to like get a point or get a goal, obviously the main thing is to hit it with your hurl, right? So you just kind of like in baseball, you throw it up and just hit it. Or another thing you can do is hand pass it. And how you hand pass it is you have the schlitter in your hand, you kind of just throw it up in the air a little bit, and then you slap it to someone else. And that hurts. Sometimes, like if you don't get it right in your palm, like if you catch it on your finger.
So you can't just toss. You have to toss it to yourself. No, you're not allowed to throw it.
Yeah, you have to like slap it. So you kind of just.
Oh my goodness.
You kind of just like throw it up a little bit and smack it, and that's how you like pass it to other people.
And if you don't, it doesn't count.
If you throw it, it's a foul. So like game stop.
Oh
like,
my goodness.
Yeah, they stop everything. Other team gets the ball and it goes back the other way.
Ouch.
So yeah, so that's how you pass it, and then you're typically it's frowned upon, but you can kick it too.
Okay.
You can kick it if you want, but typically people don't really like to kick. They always say this isn't football, this isn't soccer. So yeah, so that's it. Another rule is that you're not allowed to pick, if the schlitter's on the ground, you're not allowed to pick it up. You have to use your hurl to scoop it up.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so most guys are able to like just straight away put their hurl in under it and flick it up and catch it. But how you learn to do it as a kid anyway in school is you put your hurl on top of the schlitter, roll it back, and then flick it up to make it easier.
Oh my.
So it's really complicated. Anyway, and so yeah, so the aim of the game is just to score as many points as possible against the opposite team. I'd say the most professional level of playing this game is counties. So like Dublin versus Donegal or Galway versus Kerry. That's the most professional level. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play it for you guys. Caitlin's going to watch it here with me.
I'm going to watch it with you guys.
And then you guys will get to see the sport for yourself. And then you guys will get to see Caitlin's reaction to the sport.
This is my first time seeing it. Our lives are just moving all the time.
We live in Spain. I feel like because we live in Spain, Caitlin doesn't get to experience a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So sometimes our YouTube videos is Caitlin's first time learning about some of these Irish things.
But it just doesn't come up in conversation.
Yeah. If we lived in Ireland, like I'd probably take you to games
exactly
to see for yourself. So, all right, this is hurling. The video on YouTube is called "The Magic of Hurling."
I have to be honest, here's my reaction. I feel like hurling is lacrosse, hockey, and baseball had a baby.
Yeah.
Like there's just the movements and stuff. It's like you're playing hockey in the air instead of like hitting it on the ice. And it looks like they're playing lacrosse, and then you're like, whoa, they don't know how to play lacrosse. So that's my reaction.
Yeah, so the last two things I'll say about hurling is that, as you saw from the video, it's a contact sport, so it can be quite vicious. And up until a few years ago, you didn't have to wear those helmets. So like people would play without helmets on. So imagine getting one of those balls to like the back of the head or something. So the last thing I was going to say is that in order to block it, this is one thing I forgot to say, to block it in hurling, you'll see in the video, a lot of the guys, they put their hurl out in front. And so the goal is to stop the guy from swinging his hurl. So you want your hurl to hit his hurl.
So like block it.
Before he can hit the ball.
Okay.
But that can go awfully wrong where sometimes you miss his hurl and his hurl comes up and hits you straight in the face or in the chest or in the arms.
I'm glad you don't do hurling.
Anymore. I used to.
No, like professionally.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next one. Our next Irish sport is called Gaelic football.
Gaelic football.
So in other words, Irish football.
Have you heard anything more Irish than Gaelic football?
Gaelic football. So similarly to hurling, it has the same goalposts. So if you hit it in the lower netted goal with the goalkeeper, it's 3 points. If you hit it in the higher posts up above, it's 1 point. So football is, I would say it's like a mix between soccer and basketball. That's like the easiest way to put it. It is pretty rough. I used to say it's like a mix between soccer, basketball, and rugby. And I'd say the same about hurling. I'd always throw in rugby in there. But in rugby, like you wrap your arms around people and tackle people. In hurling and football, Gaelic football, you don't do that. You're only allowed to shoulder each other. But as you can see from these videos, you can shoulder each other pretty hard. Like people get knocked off their feet all the time. Like I've knocked guys off their feet. I've been knocked off my feet. You land on your back. You're winded for 30 seconds. It's pretty rough. Anyway, so again, like hurling, every 3 steps, you have to do something with the ball. You're not allowed to just hold it. So every 3 steps, you have to either bounce it, kind of like basketball, or solo it, which is basically where you drop it onto your foot and kick it back up into your hands. But you're not allowed to bounce it 2 times in a row. But you are allowed to solo it 2 times in a row. So if you bounce it, the next thing you have to do is a solo, which you'll see in the videos when they kick it back up into their hands. But you can do multiple solos in a row.
Wow.
It's complicated. As far as blocking in this one, just hands out, try to stop them from kicking it and stuff. In order to pass the ball or move the ball, again, you can't just throw it, you have to fist it. So in hurling, you would slap it. In Gaelic football, you'd have the ball in one hand, and kind of like volleyball, you'd fist it like that.
I was gonna say.
So most Irish people who play Gaelic football are usually good at volleyball because it's like a similar movement. So that's how you pass. So if I wanted to pass it to a guy across the field, I'd either kick it to him out of my hands, so drop it and kick it, or I would pass it with a kind of like a fist bump. So as far as scoring, like I said, 3 points for a goal, 1 point over the bar. You can use the hand technique to score a point, but you can't to score a goal.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I'm almost positive that that's true. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can use your foot to score either one. So you can only score a point with your hand. You're not allowed to score goals with the hand, but you score goals with you can score both with your feet.
Okay.
So if you kick the ball. And then last but not least, again, you're not allowed to pick it up. Like if the ball's on the floor, you can't just pick it up. You have to basically put your foot under it and flick it up
like your
into
toe?
your hands. Yeah.
That kind of like.
Yeah, so you'll see most of the guys, what they do is they'll put their hands out in front of themselves, and then they'll basically kick the ball up into their hands, grab it, and then run.
Okay.
So it's complicated. But anyway.
Let's watch it.
Let's watch some Gaelic highlights. So this video is called The Magic of Gaelic Football.
Oh my goodness. Like you think they're playing soccer or normal football and then they start to dribble like basketball. I had no idea there's a sport like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I really want to go to A hurling game or a Gaelic football game?
Yeah,
That's
next time we're in Ireland, we need to go to one of each.
That is so cool. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Those are the two Irish sports, hurling and Gaelic football.
Oh my
Every
goodness.
Irish person knows them, but outside of Ireland, a lot of people don't. One cool thing I will say though is that in lots of countries around the world, and I even saw it in America when I lived there, is there are, we call them GAA clubs, but basically GAA is the two. So hurling and Gaelic,
yeah.
we call them GAA. A GAA club is a club where you go to play one of the two. So there are GAA clubs all over the world. When I lived in Indiana, I was on IU campus and I saw two guys playing hurling and I like freaked out. I was like, no way. And they're like, yeah, we're part of like the local GAA club. And one of them, his mom was Irish. She was from Dublin. And he was born and raised in America. But anyway, his mom got him into hurling. So anyway, so that's it.
That's cool.
So,
now we kind of know about hurling and Gaelic football.
Yeah, they're very unique. And like I said, outside of Ireland, most people don't really know about them. They're kind of kept within Ireland.
I mean, I married into an Irish family and I had no idea about them. Thanks for teaching that to us, Cam. If you guys have any other sports or suggestions or anything, Cameron is just full of knowledge. He really is. So he wants to share these things with us. So please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to share this video with some friends who want to know more about Irish sports. And like Caitlin said, your suggestions are always welcome.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.